Oh, there we are. Like our new backgrounds?
We're here. Yeah, we've kind of modernized a little bit.
Hi, Ava.
We already got a shout out before we even started. Well, my name's Will. This is Chase. We're the Splittin Twigs crew. Behind the scenes, we got Austin on the computers. We got Mallory doing all the publicity stuff. And man, what a show today. Sheriff Sean McMorrow. So this dude was drafted in the NHL in 2000 in my hometown of Buffalo. And he definitely had some adversity, but man, I mean, I think it was 3 years he was recognized as Man of the Year for his Rochester Americans team, and this is going to be a good show today.
I'm super excited to learn all about the sheriff.
So
everything about him, yeah.
We're going to learn a lot about the sheriff today, everybody. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome in the Sheriff Sean McMorrow, NHL.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm just happy to be with you two kind gentlemen. You guys are amazing guys, and I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Of course, man.
Absolutely. So we'll start off with where are you from and how did you come up into the hockey world, man?
Well, I was actually born on the west coast of Canada in Vancouver, British Columbia. My parents had moved out to Vancouver as a young couple back in the 70s when Vancouver was thriving in Canada, and a lot of people were moving out west from Toronto, which is like the New York City of Canada. Me and my siblings were all born in Vancouver. My family ended up moving back to Toronto when I was 6 years old. So my hometown, as we discussed before the show, my hometown is Toronto, but my roots are from Vancouver, my birth city.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, just to grow up in Canada sounds so cool. I mean, like loonies and toonies. I know that they're kind of like dollars and cents, but it's still like so cool to hear all the diversity and everything compared to like being in America to Canada.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, man. I lived in the States for 6 years, in the UK for 2. So, you know, when you're away from where you're from and then you hear about things from back home, there's a little bit like of a different feeling to it. So, you know, the loony and toony thing, even as a Canadian, to me, it's still a little bit funny, right? And I can imagine how it is for you guys, you know, hearing that kind of stuff, what we call our money. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty normalized when you're up here, so you don't really think of it. But like I said, during my career, when I was across the pond and in the States, I always thought it was pretty funny when I would say that loony and toony word.
The first time I heard loonies and toonies, I immediately thought of Looney Tunes.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up watching that, so that's why my brain instantly went to that. And living in the UK, tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I would say it was probably the funnest time of my life. One reason being, you know, I was, you know, in my late 20s. So, you know, most people would say that's kind of the prime of their lives, right? But I just had a lot of fun there. I had a lot of success there. I'm a big history buff. I'm a big culture buff. Like, I really like that kind of stuff. So, you know, going to a place like I played in Belfast, Northern Ireland, right? So There's not really a place in the world that has more history, you know, in the past and present than a place like that. And, you know, my family ancestry is actually half Irish as well. Like my father is from Trinidad and Tobago, which is in the Caribbean, in the West Indies. And my mother's background is Irish. So, you know, that's kind of another thing that I thought that we might even dip into, is the race thing, just because there's so much stuff going on, like in the world, you know, to do with that type of stuff. But yeah, I come from a mixed background. I'm very, very proud of that. And I'm a big cultural guy, so I'm interested in every culture, man. That's usually one of the first questions I'll ask a person when I meet them.
Oh yeah, my grandma, her dad actually immigrated from Ireland before my grandma was born. And so my grandma was Irish, so we definitely grew up celebrating St. Patty's Day. Like that was a big thing for my grandma. She would always cook for hours. She'd wear her little Irish t-shirt. It was such an amazing time.
And the food.
Yeah, man. I mean it's funny that you bring that up, because like that me saying that I'm a big cultural guy, like something like that was actually really special to me. And in fact, you know what? While we're saying this, I just have to do something here. Like, you know, we're talking about Ireland, right? So
Yeah.
I think I knew that I was wearing my Cocky Wear Luck of the Irish t-shirt underneath the Sheriff t-shirt. So now that we're talking about Ireland, I think that this is appropriate. Okay, so we'll switch it up a little bit. Plus, we're live, right? So it's always cool to see stuff like that, right?
Unscripted. That's what it's about.
That's what it's all about. So the story I was going to tell was, you know, the opportunity that you have when you play overseas, especially being from the US or Canada, is everything is so smaller over there. Like when it comes to like land space, right? Like, you know, like for example, me driving to work every day into downtown Toronto, like sometimes it takes me close to an hour to get there. But if you were to drive an hour on the highway from Belfast going south, you know, you're going to be almost in Dublin, which is the capital of the Republic of Ireland, right? So I had the opportunity to go to Dublin on St. Paddy's Day, brother, because you brought the St. Paddy's Day thing up. And that, my friend, was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life, man. Because like, you know, as American, as Canadian, you know, we're influenced by the Irish heritage a lot over here, right? Mm-hmm. Especially, you know, if you have a grandparent or someone that might be Irish or from the Great Isles. And, you know, so the being able to actually experience it real, like being in Dublin on St. Paddy's Day, like for me, as you know, I have the Irish ancestry, but just I don't know. For me, it was a really big deal, and I don't think it's something that I'd ever forget.
I can imagine how big of a holiday that is there, because I mean, here in the States, it's considered a big holiday. I mean, hell, that's probably the only holiday where they actually dye an entire river in Chicago.
That's what I was
green.
just about to say. Don't they dye a river green in some place? I didn't remember where it was.
It's up in Chicago.
Yeah,
yep.
I was about to bring that up right after you were done. Like, it's just
year?
amazing. And that sounds like an amazing opportunity. I know my grandparents would travel to Ireland almost yearly to go there. My grandma absolutely loved it. And with your Luck of the Irish shirt, it actually hit pretty home because I have a pair of blades that are customized and they have a 4-leaf clover on it and my Nana's name because my Nana actually passed away in August.
I'm really sorry to hear that, brother.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. Well,
that's why I thought it was kind of cool you had that on your shirt, because he has those exact same shamrocks from Blade Tech on his blades, and the green on the chrome. It just looks really awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is Daryl Dean, who's a very good friend of mine and a sponsor of the Sheriff Podcast. This is his Luck of the Irish Cocky Wear Authentic Collection. It just came out just about a month ago, and you know it's rocking. So you know, Cocky Wear is on all social media platforms. Got to give him the little plug there. And yeah, I'm very proud to wear it for sure. But the one thing I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I'll probably check that out. That looks like a cool shirt.
Oh yeah, man. If you check out Cocky Wear, like it's on Facebook, Instagram. If you check it out, I'm telling you, you're going to love his stuff. And you know what? Now that we're associated, you know, I'm sure Daryl wouldn't mind, you know, having some Luck of the Irish t-shirts being worn on your show as well, right?
That would be amazing.
Awesome.
But now, so I wanted to mention, because you did mention, you know, that she had passed away. Like, I know for a fact, brother, that she is so proud of what you're doing right now. You're 15 years old and you're doing your own sports podcast, brother. And you know what? She's looking from above and she's very, very proud of you. So, you know what I mean? Chin up, and she's in a better place, and she's very, very proud of you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
No problem. That's just the truth. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So as you were saying about the UK thing, what was the story you were going to tell us?
Yeah. So I mean, I just the opportunity of being in Dublin on St. Paddy's Day was quite the thing. But you know, playing for the Belfast Giants, I just wanted to kind of, because I think, you know, the fact that that's come up, it's just important to talk about. Such a wonderful organization. And I just think that people need to know that sports really does bring people together. And I'm going to give you an example of what the Belfast Giants do for the community in Belfast. And the British government actually uses the Giants to bring the communities together. And if for the listeners and viewers that don't know what I'm referring to, in Northern Ireland, there's been a war that's been happening for a long time. They call it the Troubles over there. And what it is that it's Catholics and Protestants not getting along over land territories that's in the 6 counties in the north, which make up Northern Ireland, which is its own country. Northern Ireland is part of Great Britain. The Republic of Ireland is a totally separate country, and that's the Ireland that we usually refer to. But Northern Ireland, where Belfast is, where I play professional hockey, is part of the UK. And because of history and because of territory being changed, there's a conflict that's really still not figured out. It's gotten a lot better, but it's not completely resolved. So the opportunity that the British government had was this ice hockey becoming a professional sport. This is a new sport, ladies and gentlemen. So this is something where you have an opportunity where you can bring one person from one community, another person from another community that don't get along, but those two people can celebrate a sports team together. The Belfast Giants have very strict rules for people that come to their games. You are not allowed to wear any clothes that have anything to do with any type of sport team other than the Belfast Giants, which means that you can only come into the arena with a Belfast Giants jersey or just civilian clothes. You can't wear any soccer jerseys. You can't wear any hooligan stuff. You can't wear any colors that might suggest that you're part of one group and have an excuse to get into an argument with someone in the building. None of that happens. You're either wearing civilian clothes or a Giants jersey. There's no national anthem done before a Belfast Giants game because that would cause a conflict, right? And the fact that it's a new sport, like I said, you'll have someone from the Shanks Road and someone from the Falls Road that their families, 3-4 generations over and over and over have hated each other, but they could be sitting right beside each other at the Odyssey Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and be celebrating together and develop a friendship and get over the troubles. And that's what the Belfast Giants do. So when I was brought to Belfast, I was brought to be the face of the team, to be the hard man, which they call their tough guy. They wanted their tough guy to do all the appearances. And because the team is used to bring the communities together, you better believe that they have a spokesperson going out to all the community centers, all the gyms, all the hospitals, promoting that we do this. So that's the opportunity that I was given. And man, oh man, did I ever embrace it, and did I ever love it. And like I mentioned, it was the best time of my life. And that was a long version, so I apologize. You guys are very patient.
No, that was
was
awesome,
amazing.
man. I mean,
Yeah,
just
I
to hear
love hearing.
just to hear the difference between hockey here and how there, it's meant to bring people together instead of diversify them, and that's incredible. That's what the sport needs over the world.
Yeah, were you guys aware of that at all?
No, not before we talked to you. This is the first.
Exactly. So, and what I've learned is on my show is that awareness is really the most important thing, because as soon as people are aware, they're able to act, they're able to make action happen, right? So, I mean, the Giants, people should look into that, man. There should be a big documentary on that team, a Netflix special, because, man, it's a very cool thing. And because we're all hockey guys, we're all a part of this, man. And that's a team that's across the pond that does that, and we should all be proud of it.
That's incredible.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that hockey is a sport that brings everybody closer together, because it is such a it's not like it's such a diverse sport. Like, so many people come from so many different backgrounds all to play this single game, and it's just amazing to see how everybody comes together playing hockey, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and for sure, and the thing is that with everything that's happened lately, with all the social justice movements in sports and so on and so forth, I was pretty happy to see that the NHL did step up and that they did recognize that, and the hockey, like you're saying, hockey is for everybody, right? And there's a hockey for all, there's a hockey for everyone. I had a guest on my show, Curtis Gabriel, that plays for the San Jose Sharks, and he's a huge spokesperson for the hockey for all. and equality and rights. So I've recently really kind of been talking to people that are part of that movement, and it's very, very exciting. And you're absolutely right, my friend. Hockey is a sport that has that opportunity to bring everybody together.
Oh yeah, I definitely think. I mean, hockey is just such an amazing sport to bring everybody together, and I think it's. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You know, hockey is just a very diverse sport that brings everybody together. I mean, obviously, a lot of players have a lot of hatred for each other while they're on the ice, but then they get off the ice and they're like best friends. Like I have a couple friends on another team, and they hate me and gun for me when I'm skating with them. But then after I get off the ice, they'll talk to me like I'm their best friend. You know.
That's such a good point that you made there, brother. And I agree with you. And like as a former player, I can tell you that when we're on that ice, that's the battlefield. The battlefield is the ice, right? And then, you know, at the pro level, even at the junior level, and even below that, when the game is over, the game is over. You know, you have a pop with your your enemy during the game and your friend after the game, your rival, and that's how it works, right? So, and I think that the more competitive a person is, the easier that is, because when you're competitive, man, you can like me. Like I have two younger brothers, right? Like my older sister Catherine, I have two younger brothers, Patrick and Liam. So I don't know what you guys noticed there, but those are probably those three names with Sean, S-E-A-N, is probably the four most Irish names that you can get, right? Catherine, Sean, Patrick, and Liam, right?
Absolutely.
So, but anyway, we're all competitive. We're brothers and sisters, even especially with me and my two brothers growing up. We're all 2-3 years apart, right? So we could be super, super competitive, want to kill each other when we're outside my mom's house. But then when we come in for dinner, it's like, yeah, man, good job, man. Good, that was awesome. For me, it's about the rush of competition. And I got reminded of that. I know I keep bringing up my show, but I got reminded by that by Nathan Parrott, who was my episode 12 guest. And he was explaining to me like why he fought so much. And I was saying to him, I'm like, Nathan, like, you sure figured this out, because Nathan is, the man's 5-6 years older than me. And he was in an era when fighting was a really big part of hockey, right? So he was a 30-goal scorer in Major Junior in the OHL in Canada. And so I was just saying, like, man, you were a really good player, but man, did you ever figure it out that if you added the fighting to your game, that it would give you a lot better chance to be a successful NHL hockey player? And he's like, no, I guess I didn't really figure it out, man. I just he's like, I just love the fighting. I just absolutely love the fighting, right? And it's the competitiveness in him. He wants to prove who's the toughest guy. And that's how competitive Nathan Parrott is, right? And I got reminded of that. And it's in all of us. That competition is in all of us. And it's in you, man, being 15 years old and wanting to have a show like this. That's absolutely awesome, right? It's because you're a competitive guy, right? So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. I love seeing this. I love seeing people do well.
So I got to get a little candid. Now we're talking about Belfast. We're talking about your plays. We're talking about toughest of the toughest guys. Dude, I've never seen anybody on the ice get hit by a car and do no damage to the car and skate away. Tell us about that, man. Season 14, episode 4. We watched that this morning. That was awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was that was another cool thing that I got to do while I lived in Belfast. And I'll be honest with you, the day that it happened, I had no idea how big of a deal Top Gear was. So let's start with that, okay? I had seen it. I knew what it was, but different parts in my life, I've learned about so many different things. And after I had the experience of being on the Top Gear show, I started following the show and I started watching the show. And then that was when I realized, man, this is a really big show. Like, it's been internationally known. Like, a couple months after I did it, I was in a situation where I was talking to a former teammate of mine that lived in like San Diego or something. And he was telling me that him and his wife were just sitting one afternoon watching Top Gear. And then they just look up and then they see me get smashed by the car. They're like, how did you get on that show? I'm like, man, I was playing for a team in the UK and they just did like a special episode. And they asked one of us, would anyone volunteer actually being like a part of this episode. Like the team was a part of it, but they needed one player that was being willing to get hit by the car, because the whole point of the show is they wanted to show how controlled the car drove on ice and cold weather, and that it was very durable.
The car, that wasn't just a made up thing.
Yeah, I got hit by the car, man. I have a little excerpt of it that I have on my Instagram page, because I think it's really funny, man. Like he's driving around on the ice, and it's like when we're scrimmaging in practice, and then we're all like, they make it like we're like banging the car and cross-checking it, and he's like, "Oh, I got to get out of here," and then he's like, "I got to leave," and he pulls the gear, and then boom, you hear a bang. And then you see a player fall, and it's me. And I'm wearing my helmet, and my little beard here was a lot darker. So it's me right away. And then I get up, and then they show me skating away. So then you see McMorrow, right? So then you really know it's me. But yeah, no, it was a great experience, man. I got to meet Jeremy Clarkson. Really big character. They're producers and all that kind of stuff. I introduce myself to everybody. I like to say hi to everyone and stuff. And yeah, it was just a great experience, man. And it didn't hurt, because they just made it look bad. It was just like a regular little bump when someone gives you a little shoulder.
Man, that was a good show.
It was so funny because he came out and he said, "A big player dressed in all those pads," and he looks at the car and there's not a dent on it.
Yeah, it's like, there's not a dent on this thing. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was definitely funny.
For sure.
So going back to coming up through the ranks, and when you were, a young teenager, maybe even around Chase's age, what did the path to the draft look like for you? I mean, obviously you were drafted into the NHL, and
yeah,
I mean, what a feeling playing your first NHL game in your hometown. That must have been incredible. But what challenges did you face?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of challenges. Like I went the route of major junior.
Okay.
So, growing up in Canada, there's two ways that you can go if you're going to go to the next level. So if you're either going to go the NCAA Division I scholarship route, which is where the Canadians get the scholarship to the US colleges, Division I colleges, or you play major junior, right? So those are the two routes that you go if you want to be a professional hockey player, if you want to play in the NHL. So me being, 6'4" and, being a stay-at-home defenseman, with size and, potential toughness, and, as a 16-year-old, it was just a better route for me if I wanted to be a professional hockey player to go major junior. And I got letters from Harvard and Yale, and it was really cool to get letters from Ivy League schools and stuff like that. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to send you a scholarship, but like there was some interest the other way, and I could have gone, but with my size and the type of player I was, like I mentioned, it was just better for me to go the major junior route. The challenges that I faced was the fact that I got traded a bunch of times, right? So, I mean, I was drafted by the Sarnia Sting in the second round, which was a pretty high pick. I was 33rd overall. It's a 20-team league, so I was drafted like midway through the second round, and I was very proud of that. And I was a big prospect, and I was drafted to a team that had a coach and general manager, Mark Hunter, Dale Hunter's brother, the Hunter brothers. He's a Stanley Cup champion with the Calgary Flames, Mark Hunter. Yep. And he ended up getting fired at Christmas time. So I'm a 17-year-old from Toronto, playing in Sarnia, Ontario, which is a very, very small town, very different from Toronto. And, me being interested in the whole cultural and, how one town is different from the other. Like I'm very interested in stuff like that. So my journey in the OHL, I played for 6 teams, man. Like I got traded a bunch of times. I got played for 3 teams in one season. Oh, wow. And this is when you're in high school. So that's where the challenge came. Every time you switch teams in major junior, that means you're switching to a different high school, right? So as a result of that, the fact that I got drafted the fact that I ended up signing my 3-year entry-level contract when I was 20 years old after my 3rd season of Major Junior, at that point in my life, I was still 2 credits short of high school, right? And like, it was weird because I was ahead of like the average like credit placing when I was in like grade 9, grade 10, like when I was in grade 11, I was taking grade 12 classes and I was ahead. And then in grade 12, when I started playing the OHL and started getting traded everywhere, it just like, I ended up, you know, not getting credits because I'd be switching schools and then I wouldn't have had enough stuff in this school to get that credit and this and that. And to make a long story short, I didn't graduate high school on time. And that was a big challenge for me. I ended up getting my high school when I was 30 years old. I ended up getting my high school degree, which was later in life. And that was something that was really important to me. But at that age, it was a huge challenge because, you know, like I wanted to be a lawyer when I was a kid. Like when I was not doing the whole hockey thinking, like I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be this, I wanted to be that. So, you know, I wanted to go to university. Like school was a big part of my life growing up. Like I was a very good student as a kid, right? So, you know, pride kicks in when it comes to stuff like that. And you want to graduate on time and you want to graduate with honors and you want to do the best you can all the time, right? So that was a big challenge for me. Just the whole high school thing, getting traded a lot in junior, like that probably sticks out the most for that time period anyway.
So overcoming the adversity of getting traded a lot and still sticking with it to make it to the NHL draft. That's a tough guy right there.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Hey, so our producer is able to do something here. So we're gonna bring up this toughest guy getting run over by a car video clip here to show everybody. Right?
Yeah, here we go.
So let's hear it from Sean's view. Let's hear your play-by-play.
Okay, so I knew I didn't have a chance, right, against a man this big, a twin Twigo or whatever it's called, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, man, I just gotta brace myself. You know, I know I'm gonna lose this battle, but I at least gotta give it my best shot, right?
Right.
So I saw the car coming, and I just braced myself.
Turn this.
And you know what? Before that, like, okay, I see that I thought it was a little bit closer to the contact. So before that, me and my teammates jump on the ice. You know, we're swarming. We want to play our scrimmage. We're like, what is this car doing on our ice? And we're swarming it. We're giving it a hard time. You know, it's banging our net. You know, it's in the way. And then, you know what? It crashes our boards, and we're not happy with that at all. So, you know what? We're yelling at this guy, and boom. It hits me. It had to hit me. So I had to I laid there. I tried to make sure I was okay. You know, Jeremy Clarkson came out of the car, but it seemed like he was a little bit more concerned about the Twingo than he was with me. There wasn't too much damage to the car, so the promotion had to continue.
Right. Let's hear what Jeremy had to say during this. Hold on.
That's astonishing. There isn't a mark on it. And since the skater seems to be okay, we have to say the Twingo scores well for pedestrian safety, especially if he's dressed up like that.
There's the scene where I'm skating away.
That was awesome, man.
It said it's very good at pedestrian safety.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with the British accent too, man. That's the other thing. Like, I don't know what it is, but I enjoy hearing it. I don't know. To me, it just sounds smarter. I don't know, man. Something about it.
I don't know. It's a little bit different. I was in London for a little bit. I did a little stop by.
You didn't like it though? You didn't like the way the girls sounded? Like, you didn't like that?
They sound a lot different, but I didn't like their prices, man. Everything there was like 20 times what it cost in the United States.
It's so expensive. And the reason why I say girl is because they're the only ones I could really understand, especially when I was in Scotland, man. The Scottish dudes, I could not really understand them right away. The women, I could kind of understand them. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's cool. So you got to go over to London for a bit?
Yeah, so I stopped there. I did. So I'm in the military. I've been in for just about 20 years now. And
you're in the military?
Yeah, I did do active duty almost 20 years now.
Well, I really appreciate what you do, my friend.
Oh, no worries. I appreciate it. But yeah, I just I in 2005 I did a gig for the Secret Service, and I was traveling. I was moving countries like once a week, and I've been all over the Middle East, Africa, London. In fact, I was in London just a few days before the big subway bombings. I don't know if you heard about that. That was kind of tied into my visit a little bit there, but we won't talk about that. But then, I've been in North Dakota for about 18 years where hockey really came into play with the UND Sioux and everything. Became a huge fan of them. And then I got stationed over the last couple of years up in Greenland. I was in Greenland for a year. It was actually 750 miles north of the Arctic Circle. So I was closer to the North Pole than anywhere else. And living up there for a year was interesting. The culture up there, I mean, it's all what you would think of the typical Eskimos. They wear the polar bear pants, the polar bear jackets and stuff, and it was really cool. And then to actually say that I've ice skated on the Atlantic Ocean where the ocean freezes was just my only really cool story that I got to take away from there.
Dude, that is so cool. That is so cool. And another thing, if there's anything, like, be honest, if there's anything that I've said to you that may have made you upset, I want to say right now, I am very sorry, man. You said Secret Service? Buddy, you are on another level, my friend.
Oh, no. Buddy, work, man.
Please, we're on the same side, right? We're on the same side.
Yes. Oh God, yeah, man.
You probably know how to take me and your 15-year-old co-host down probably in about 2 seconds, man. You probably have some crazy skills. Man, yeah. I would hire you as a bodyguard, man, if I ever made big money.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that opportunity. I'm a little bit old and banged up by now, but
well, you can't, like I said, man, I know you told me your age, but I mean, you look like you're 25. You're trying to convince me you're only a year younger.
No, I definitely am. But yeah, back to hockey here. I got off topic. But Chase, what's on your mind, man?
Back to hockey talk.
That is something that's kind of funny. Like, people my age or even younger, like, they take it as a compliment to be called older, but then
go ahead. I think he can still hear us.
Yeah.
One sec. Sorry, one sec.
Just keep talking, man. He can hear you.
Sorry, our camera's kind of
no. That's fine. And brother, I know exactly what you're saying. And I'm going to give you this example right here. Okay. So for example, when I was starting pro, my first 3 years, my entry level contract, 20, 21, 22, because I'm a January birthday like yourself. I got to tell the listeners, the viewers out there, me and my man here are born a day apart. I'm January 19th and he's January 20th. We're both Capricorns. I'm usually the second last day. He's always the last day. So we both know what we're about because we're right on the cusp of Aquarius, right? Yeah. So hockey talk. When I was in my first 3 years of being pro, I would be playing with guys that I guess maybe one or two of them may be as old as I am right now, but most of them were in like their early to mid 30s. Right. And I thought that was so old at that time, man. I'm like, I hope I never turn 30. That's so old, man. I'm 19, 20 years old right now, and I don't want to get any older. And brother, so you're 15 years old, right? So you're probably thinking that 20 is old, right?
Yeah.
But you guys want to be considered a little bit older.
Yeah, just around 20, 25-ish sounds good to me.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and then I'm telling you, once I hit my 30s, because I got the two younger brothers, they'd be saying like, "Yo, bro, you're 30?" I'd be like, "Buddy, I'm in my prime." They'd be like, no. 20 is prime. I'd be like, no. 30 is prime. Once you're in your 30s, you say 35 is prime. Right now, I think 40 is prime. So that's how it goes. But the hockey careers, though, it seems like now, like the NHL and AHL, it seems like it's 20s and then 30s is when you start to turn old. Like when you're 30s, like 30, 31, 32, you're old now. You're getting up there. And then 35 seems to be like, that's like LeBron and those guys only play after that age. Well, LeBron's basketball, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, like other sports, you see people like Tom Brady staying in, and I think he's mid-40s now, right?
Oh man, Tom Brady,
And
43, I think, brother.
yeah, and then you see people like Ovechkin, who's in his 30s, and he's considered old. Like everybody's wondering when he's gonna retire because he's considered old. But man, Ovechkin, what a player, dude! I mean, he's crazy. I think if he stays in a little bit longer, that he may come up to Gretzky's record.
I agree with you. I think that he's got a really good shot, man, especially now that it seems like Washington is really beefing up their team. Like when they got Zdeno Chara, then they signed for him, and you know what I mean? And they went after King Lundqvist. I know he got the injury, but man, that would have been now imagine that. Imagine if Lundqvist has been playing this whole time, and you know what I mean? So I mean Washington, I think Washington knows it, brother. They know that Ovi's going to be done in the next few years. So I think they're just like, you know what? Who cares if we have to pay a luxury tax? Like, let's just go all in right now. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They won the cup, recently, and they're trying to do it again. And they might as well. They're never going to get another player like Ovi, man. Not that franchise. There might be another Ovi that comes around, but Washington will never get it. So
I think the closest next prospect that will be in his later career considered as good as Ovechkin and Crosby is probably going to be McDavid, man. McDavid, he's unreal. Some of the things that he does, I mean, it's just walking around people like he's still playing juniors in the highest league to play in, pretty much,
Man, I'll tell you one thing, McDavid, some of the moves that he does, like when people say the word sick and sickening and stuff like that, that's the player that comes to mind, man. It's crazy the stuff that he does. The man is so fast that only certain players can actually play with him. You guys know that, right? Because if you look at the Edmonton Oilers forwards, they got a lot of skilled young players, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at certain players like Nugent Hopkins, right? Nugent Hopkins, he may not do well with McDavid, but with a guy like Drysdale, he will. Now, why is that? McDavid is just too fast. When they put Drysdale with McDavid, they get like 3-4 points a game because sometimes Drysdale's the only guy that can really keep up with the man. So it's very interesting. Like, there's pros and cons, I guess, to everything. Obviously, the pros outweigh the cons with McDavid. But there's certain players that won't do as well with McDavid because speed's just not a part of their game. Like they're really skilled, but they're not fast, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting. I actually work for a guy that's a huge Edmonton Oilers fan. So I always get like a little insight from him, which I really appreciate. Shout out to Todd Koffel.
I mean, some of the things that he does just to gain time and space, or even like his shot or the moves that he makes, is just unreal. Like making the goalie 100% think that he's going to the backhand and making a quick move to the forehand. It's just unreal. Some of the things he can do. Like, for example, the score or the goal I call it a score because that's what my brother calls it. And so he's 6 and now it's just kind of in my head. But the goal he made against Arizona, actually, when he went to the back or made it seem like he was going to the backhand, pulled it to the forehand and put it right over Darcy Kemper.
Man, it's video game type moves that the man does, isn't it? It's like video game
21 in here.
Yeah, but like, see, but that's what the sport needs, I find, though, guys. Like, we need guys like that. Like, I mean, like, if you think about it, like the NHL, man, like we need more characters. And like, okay, so McDavid, because of how fast and how video game like he is, he's interesting. Like, people want to watch him because the guy's like incredible, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I find that we need more guys like Curtis Gabriel, for example, San Jose Sharks, very outspoken guy. Like I mentioned before, he's all about equality, equal rights. Hockey is for everyone, stuff like that. He's going out challenging guys in warm up. You know, he's not letting guys off the hook. And characters like that, is going to bring TV ratings up, is going to
absolutely.
get a new audience interested in this sport. The ratings aren't very good in the States, my friend, for the NHL, right? So
right now.
we need to work on this, and we need to make the game more marketable. And I believe that there's a few things that can be done to make the game more interesting, the game that we love, the game that we grew up with, man. Like, this is our culture, right? So we're always going to fight for the better good for the sport of hockey.
And like
That's
you
how
were
I
saying, those video game type moves. I mean, what about Svechnikov, that lacrosse goal that he's so famous for? Like, moves like that is just unreal. And like, other players who see or not players, but like other people who are outside of the hockey world see a player like Svechnikov pull off a lacrosse move like that, and it is so intriguing to them, you know?
Oh, 100%. And like the cool thing about hockey too, brother, is, I mean, you're talking about the lacrosse move where the guy, like, you know, picks it up and puts it in the net, right? Okay, so that was first done with the University of Michigan.
Yes,
right?
I was about to say that.
Right.
My friend was asking, why is it called the Michigan? And I said, because the first person to do it was a kid from the University of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I believe his last name was Legg. I'm L-E, I think it's G-G-E or whatever. Mike Legg, I think that's the name that's coming to mind. But that's the cool thing. Like, that's an NCAA Division I hockey player. I mean, the man was probably 20, 21 years old, did that move, and now it's like a video game move and people want to imitate it. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly the thing that is going to get the broader audience, right? So, yeah, man, that's some exciting stuff. It's very, very exciting stuff.
Dylan Schauer here, he commented, he's one of Chase's teammates on his team right now, is Connor Bedard is a 15-year-old prospect to watch.
And Mike, I've watched him a couple of times. Yeah, that kid, I don't think he's 15. I think he's a little bit older than that. Because
that's the kid he's averaging like 2.5 points a game in the WHL.
That's
Connor Bedard.
Yeah,
is that who we're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kid is unreal.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. You're fine.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I'm telling you something right now, man. Like I played major junior, the level that kid's playing, right? So I know what it's like to be one of the youngest guys in the team. I know what it's like to be one of the oldest guys in the team. That part of your life is such an important journey, and there's so much progress that is done between 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The fact that this kid can put the numbers up like that, the fact that he's that much better than the competition, and even if he is 16, brother, but they keep advertising him as 15. I think it's because he was 15 when he entered the league. He's probably turned 16 since, but man, he's so further ahead than everyone. Like, we're talking like this is like Sidney Crosby level. Like, this is very, very special what we're seeing. And I think the kid is very small in size too, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not the tallest.
Yeah,
kid.
so he's 5'9", 165 pounds.
Yeah.
He's a 05, so he is a 15-year-old kid playing.
He is 15 still?
Yeah,
He's
he's
an
July
05?
of 05. Yep. So
Yeah,
2005. That was like last week, man.
Yeah.
yeah, he's a year
Well, not
older
for
than
me.
you. Well, actually,
What year were you born in? Same year?
06.
You're an 06.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Just a couple days ago. That's fantastic.
They're the ones that got to carry on the traditions, and
Yeah.
Chase, if you watch Chase play, on his TikTok, he's got a lot of little highlight videos and stuff. But I'll tell you, Chase, he can score goals, but he reminds me a lot of you. He is an enforcer. He's a kid who is not afraid to go out there and hit. He's not afraid to take the puck away from people, and he knows the game. And Chase is, I don't know if you know much about Chase, but he's only been playing for just under 2 years now. And God is game. Yeah.
You've only been playing for 2 years, brother?
Yeah, just around there.
Wow. So you really progressed quickly, huh?
Thank you.
No, but I mean, man, I I think I was 8 years old when I was at that level of 2 years under the belt. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just saying, like you're, and I was still, I think I was still skating on with one leg at that point. Pushing with the one leg. Use both legs. Use both legs. Long strides. Long strides.
Yeah, I kind of taught myself how to skate, so I never really got any of that.
No? Okay, so now that we're talking about actual like minor hockey, what's the status of hockey in the US right now, like with the pandemic?
Oh, so hockey right now is actually like we're not shut down at all. I mean, here in Arizona, we don't even have to wear masks anymore. It's not required. And so hockey where I live, it's been just as normal as before the pandemic for I think 4 months now, 5 months, somewhere in there. I don't think we only really shut down once when the whole world shut down was the only time that we were in lockdown. Right now, I mean, we're as open as we could be. I mean, I have a game on Tuesday and then I have a Wednesday and Thursday practice, just normal.
Yeah, and the Coyotes were letting in, I think, 15-ish% of capacity at the arena. And then this past weekend, they just hosted the Blues yesterday. We went to, and they're up to 50% capacity because obviously the playoff push and everything, they want more fans in. So yeah, hockey's looking pretty normal here. It didn't shut down too much. Nothing like what Canada's doing. That's I hear stories out of it. That's unheard of.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to tell you guys. So I mean, that's wonderful to hear. Like, it's wonderful that's happening.
Mhm.
I know that there's a lot of different countries that are, they're at different stages of this, and like it seemed like up here they were managing it very well. They were doing a really big like support, like stimulus stuff, like money and stuff like that, and they were showing a lot of support. But then once like the whole vaccine thing started, we really didn't catch any breaks, or I don't know, but we're like really seems like we're very far behind. Like we're on complete lockdown in Toronto.
That's so crazy.
We were on a lockdown, and then as of like 3-4 days ago, we have a stay-at-home order right now.
Mm-hmm.
The government wanted the cops to be able to stop anybody and ask them why they are not home. And the cops said, no, we're not doing that. We've been there, done that. We're not going down that road again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's how crazy it is up here.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy that we don't even have our sports teams playing in our cities, my man.
Wow.
We got our Toronto Raptors playing in Tampa Bay, and we got our Toronto Blue Jays playing in Dunedin.
Oh, I thought they were playing in Buffalo. Aren't they playing in Buffalo at the Bison Stadium now? I heard
they I think that was last season, or you know what I mean? But this season they're playing in Dunedin. That's where they usually play spring training. Everyone has their spring training city, and then they go to start the season. We're just staying in Dunedin because of the closing of the border, right? And so, like it's unfortunate. It's very frustrating. It's very difficult on the mental health up here, guys. Everything is shut down, guys. The hockey arenas have yellow tape around them, brother.
Jesus.
We don't have 50% capacity. We don't have anything. There's no fans at the Toronto Maple Leaf games. You know what I mean? Like it's insane, right? And so I mean, I really hope that things get better. I'm a dreamer. I always wish for the best, and I really hope things get better.
I think they will,
because it's very different.
Vaccines out. I mean, here once they started pushing the vaccines out, the positivity rates and stuff went way down. Everything started opening up, and at work, I kind of look around town now, and the bars are back open and stuff, and it's like there's a sense of normalcy again. It's crazy.
We don't even know what that means. What's a bar? But I'm serious, man. We haven't had bars since March.
Jesus.
My goodness.
Like March is when the shutdown shutdown stuff started happening here.
Yeah.
And then it eased up a little bit, and then we shut down again, and then it eased up a little bit, and then we're shutting down again. Bars have not been open, restaurants have not been open. It's only takeout and like the Uber Eats, like the delivery. That's all it is. There's no restaurants that are open. Even the golf courses are closed, guys. The outside, everything's closed in Toronto.
That's
everything's closed.
I mean,
Complete lockdown we're on. So you can imagine what that's doing to people's minds, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, isolation for anybody, and for it to be like how helpless people must feel. Like, it's just because there's nothing you can do, you know. It's not like you're separating yourself from it. It's literally nothing you can do. It's terrible. Like, I remember when we were in lockdown, and it was horrid. I hated it so much.
And that only lasted a few months for us.
I couldn't imagine doing it again. I don't think I could do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is difficult, but it also will bring out how important things were to us too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, being on your hockey team, you get to go to the arena, you get to see all your buddies, you have that camaraderie, right? Camaraderie. I never get it right the first time, right? You get that good feeling that you're releasing those endorphinites. You're getting out on the ice. You're skating around. You're getting out there doing 3 hard strides, and then you're wheeling around and you're getting the breeze in. You know what I mean? We love it so much. When it's taken away from us, man, we really realize how valuable it really is. Just getting it's different than any other experience. It's different than going to the gym. It's different than going to a football field where there's 100 players on the field. Like, it's different, man. It's 5-on-5, and then if it's just like shinny or something, it could be 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and you got that competitiveness, and you got the smell of the ice in the arena, and it's just such a beautiful thing, man. And it's a social club at the same time, you know. And like right now we're away from that, and the only way that we can really connect ourselves, like the hockey community up here, is through what you guys and what I'm doing right now, is through podcasts.
Absolutely.
Things like that, right? Like, we have to find things that like, just because things are getting a little bit harder doesn't mean that we can't do the things that we love still. So through the shows like ours, guys, people can still really connect. And in parts of the world like Toronto that are really still locked down from the pandemic, you'd be surprised that shows like yourself, guys, they're cheering people up. You guys are doing something very good for everybody, man. I'm very happy of what you guys are doing. Like, when I first saw, like when your father messaged me, right? And I looked into you guys a little bit, like, I couldn't stop smiling, man. I'm like, these guys are doing some really cool stuff right now.
That's good,
right?
Man. That's what
man. You guys are doing man. Like, and because I know it's important to hear it. Like I know I'm the guest, but like, it's good to hear from people. You guys are doing a great job. You got to keep going. Never stop, man. You guys are doing too good of a thing. The inspiration for the young people, for this guy, your background and everything that you bring to the show, like, you guys are a great combo, man. Holy.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, like I said, like we talked about before, kind of the main purpose of us starting this up was to keep the hockey community together, especially through a pandemic, and more importantly, to educate the younger players on how to overcome challenges that guys who we've watched on TV and that we've cheered for in fights have done. You know, there's a right way, a wrong way. There's speed bumps. Every person has a story. And, you know, I know we were talking about the lockdown lasted for about a year, just over a year for you guys so far, but you've actually had a chance to be away from the sport for a couple of years and make a comeback. How did you step away for a couple of years and still come back to that elite level?
Well, like, part of my story is I had the experience with the legal system in the US of A. In your country, and I part of my story is trying to let people understand that it's really important to watch who you hang out with. A lot of athletes, especially professional athletes, will think that they're going to be protected because in other parts of their life they are. They are put on pedestals a lot. You notice that athletes, the confidence in athletes is usually skyrocketed because, similar to actresses and singers, you know, they have a camp of people that are either, you know, enabling good or bad things, or are feeding them anything they want to hear because they're on a payroll or so on and so forth.
Right.
The point I'm trying to make is the mistake that I made with me being the type of personality that I have, is I am friends with various circles of people. Like, I mean, I'm a kid that grew up in Toronto. You know, my dad's black, my mom's white. To society, I'm a light-skinned black guy, which I'm more than comfortable with, right?
Yeah,
I'm very proud of
American.
that.
I mean, that's a proud heritage.
Right. And I yeah, Trinidadian and Irish is a pretty cool mix, right? And so, you know, I was brought up in a way where I was taught helping people is the most important thing, and accepting people for who they are is more important than trying to judge them and trying to pick and choose. So with me, guys, pretty much what I'm trying to say is that when I meet someone, it doesn't matter if they're an Ivy League lawyer or if they're a guy that dropped out of school in grade 9, but he's a foreman in a construction company. It doesn't really matter like where you came from. If I find something good in you, then you're going to be my friend, right? So what my problem was early in my career, when I had all these people coming at me, instead of being like, you know what, like this guy kind of does things that isn't good, so I just got to stay away from this guy. Instead of thinking that way, I was more like, yeah, this guy, you know, I got some questions about him, but man, does he ever have a really good heart, man? That story he was telling me about his dad and his mom, and you know what I mean? And I'll find something good in them, and then they'll become my friend because we'll have things in common. And when I was playing in Rochester, New York, you know, I had so many different types of friends, and, you know, a lot of them really like to smoke marijuana. And so I would go over to a friend's house that ended up becoming my buddy that sold marijuana. And I would go over there. And the reason why I would do it is because at that time, I mean, where I'm from, it's legalized now. I know in your country, I don't know, about, what is it, about half the states have legalized it.
Here in Arizona, it is.
Okay, so you guys know how different it is now from then. So, I mean, we're talking early 2000s here, right? So we're talking 2001, 2002, 2003, that time frame. So at that time, marijuana is illegal. It's a what do they call it? A level 1 substance 1 narcotic or whatever, right? At that time. So Schedule 1. So anyway, so you know, so I would go over there because it would be like kind of like a safety net for me, because I could go there. There was nobody questioning it, that it was there. I could smoke my joint. I could feel safe, get some laughs in, and then I could leave. And that was cool the way I liked it, right?
Right.
Over time, you know, these guys kind of became my friends, man. And they were good guys. And yeah, they sold marijuana, and I knew it wasn't right, but I just kind of didn't care, to be honest. I'm 21 years old, man. Who's not doing that in university or college? Or, you know, for me, like when I was in Rochester, New York, I was 20 to 24. So it was kind of like a university time for me. Right? Like, so, I mean, if someone's going to tell me that they wouldn't hang out with people that smoked marijuana when they're in university, I think they should look in the mirror and really question if they're being honest or not, right? So this is how it was for me at that time of my life. So now let's fast forward a couple months. So now I'm getting to know these guys pretty well. And there was one day where my one buddy, he came to me, when I was at his place the one time, and he's like, you know what, Sean? He's like, I know you get paid every 2 weeks from the Emirates and stuff, and like I know you get a consistent paycheck. He's like, how would you feel about like if you were to lend me like $1,000 and let's say this would be on a Friday, and he's like, I'll give you $1,500 on Monday.
Jesus.
Is that okay? Do you think you'd do that? So I'm thinking, okay, well, in the AHL, we play 3 and 3s. We play 3 games in 3 nights, like very often, right? So it's very, very common that you're going to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Because most of the games are played between Thursday and Sunday, like 85% of the games in the league. So it's very common for you to be unavailable on the weekend when you're an AHL player during the hockey season. So for me to withdraw $1,000 from my account, give it to one of my friends, I know what he's doing with it, but I'm 21 years old and I'm giving my friend $1,000, right? So in my mind at the time, it's not a big deal, right? And then I go and play Binghamton, Syracuse, Albany, three-day trip, 2 nights, and then I'm back and I made $500. My buddy's giving me $500 on top of the 1,000. I did it about 10 or 12 times. Okay. So I did that about 10 or 12 times. Obviously, I have to own that. I did something that I shouldn't have done.
Right.
I'm not proud of it. At the time, I didn't think it was a big deal. That doesn't change the fact that it's not right. So now let's fast forward a few years, because when I left Rochester, the funny thing about hockey is when you play in different cities and stuff, like most guys will play a year in one city, a year in another city. Like I got an opportunity to play 4 straight years in one city because I played my entry-level contract, and then the Sabres re-signed me to a 1-year deal, 2-way contract. So I played the 4th year, right? So like a university time. So during that time, there was so many wonderful and crazy things that happened. Like you mentioned before, there was the two AHL Man of the Year awards in those 4 years in Rochester. And then the third one that I got was actually when I was playing in Rockford for the Rockford Ice Hogs. That was my last year in the league. But you were absolutely right about the 3. So 2 years after I left Rochester, I lost contact with these guys, because that's what happens when you leave the cities. You keep in contact with a lot of people, but there's a lot of people, even if you didn't really mean to lose contact, you just do. It's just what happens. So I hadn't talked to these guys in a few years. They're still going down the same path, and in fact, even got deeper into the dark side, deeper into the illegal side, right?
Right.
And they get pulled over. They're somewhere in Ohio. They're both from Rochester, New York. They're traveling somewhere. They get pulled over in Ohio. They have weapons, drugs, and money in their vehicle. Okay.
Right.
So it's a stolen vehicle. They have a weapon in there, which was a firearm. And it's a really, really bad situation for them. I think a couple of them may have already had warrants. They're out of state, cross state lines. There's a lot of things that they violated, right? Yeah, none of them have like licenses. So they're in deep trouble.
Right.
They all get pulled in. My one buddy, I'm trying to speed this up because I know we got a time limit. So my one buddy, he finally, after a couple hours, he's up and he's like, okay, I'm ready to talk, right? So he says he's ready to talk, and he pretty much says, you know what, like I know I'm in a heap of trouble here, but I want to know if I were to give some information about an operation of selling marijuana where an NHL hockey player was the boss of the operation. I want to know if I could maybe get a deal on I know this is a show that minors watch us too. Like for the trouble that I'm in right now. Right. So they're like, okay, well, we'll talk about this and we'll get back to you. So they call the local FBI office and they say, we got a guy that says he's, got some story about an NHL hockey player that's head of a drug ring, per se. So the FBI comes in the next day and they interview him, and he he tells them, so pretty much what he told them was everything that he was doing, but that I was his boss and his supplier.
Jesus.
Right? And he knew that that's juicy. He knew that to society, it's a black hockey player. He knew that it's also a guy that has won community awards. That's very, very juicy.
Oh yeah, especially to the media,
right? Very juicy stuff. So what happened was the FBI jumped all over it. The FBI said, well, what we're going to need you to do is we're going to need you to plead guilty to the same situation as this NHL hockey player. We're going to build the case on the NHL hockey player. And as long as everything lines up, then yeah, this will be gone. So what happened was that stop that I just explained to you has never happened. It's never happened.
So it's not on the records at all.
It's never happened. That was the deal. They spent a couple years connecting phone records. I mean, these were my friends. I pretty much like I had a routine where we had a place across the street from the Blue Cross Arena. It was called Nathaniel's Pub, and it was such a great place. I remember the owner name was Stu, and he sponsored my hockey schools there and everything. Great place, and the team would always go across the street, have a pint and kind of mingle with the fans. And the Rochester Americans have such a strong fan base, man. It's such a great organization. It just it makes me sad that the Buffalo Sabres are doing so poorly this year. No, let me tell you, because this just came into my mind. I'm gonna get back. My mind's very, very. It makes me sad that the Buffalo Sabres are not doing well this year, and I'll tell you some reasons. I'm a Buffalo Sabres alumni. I was drafted by that franchise. I know what it's really like there. That is a strong hockey city. That is a strong community of hockey. Their hockey roots go so deep. The city of Buffalo, the city of the Niagara region, the upstate New York, which stretches the whole way, Rochester's included, that is one big hockey hotbed. The team's just not doing well now, ladies and gentlemen. Do not judge the Buffalo Sabres organization on their performance the last 10 years, because the 10 years prior to these past 10 years of not making the playoffs, I bet you, let's say 20. I bet you in that length of time that the Buffalo Sabres had one of the top 5 winning percentages of any team in the NHL. After the show, let's get both our producers to look into that. The Buffalo Sabres were making the playoffs every single year when the Dominator was there. We were like the dynasty that never won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
I was just about to say,
listen, you drive in Buffalo right now, you'll still see bumper stickers saying "No goal."
Oh,
and
God.
You know what that is? That's against the Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup final when Brett Hull was in the crease. Gary Bettman put a rule out saying that if you're in the crease, we're waving off the goals. But when it came down to the final game, they didn't do it. They did not have the balls to do it, man.
We got screwed. Everybody hear that.
Yes, we did, man. And we should have won the Stanley Cup. The Buffalo Sabres should be Stanley Cup champions, but it's okay. They will reach there. But my point of bringing this up, guys, is that the Buffalo Sabres are a strong hockey hotbed. They are. They're just not doing well right now. Every franchise goes through it. I don't want them to get a bad reputation now because of how poorly they're doing. So what? Taylor Hall scores 2 goals in 37 games of Buffalo, scores 2 goals in 3 games with Boston. Boston is so much better than Buffalo. No. The Sabres are hockey rich. I was there. I was so proud to be a part of that organization. When I got drafted to that team, as someone from Toronto, being in the same division as the Buffalo Sabres have always had good teams, man. I was a Leaf fan growing up. I hated Buffalo because they were always better than us.
I was going to say, that was the rivalry back when you played.
They were always better than us. And Razor...
Ty Domi and Rob Ray. Ty Domi and Rob Ray, that's right. And Razor would beat him most of the times. Yep.
And you know what? This is the perfect time. I have an exclusive announcement to make live on your show.
All right, let's hear this.
So, live on Splittin Twigs. I want to announce, this has just been confirmed just yesterday, actually, that for the Sheriff Podcast, for episode 16, I'd like to announce that Mr. Rob Ray will be special guest. Razor is the special guest for episode 16 of the Sheriff Podcast. I think we're doing the recording probably next week, but we just confirmed that. And this is the first time it's being announced live on Splittin Twigs.
That's going to be epic. Rob Ray. Rob Ray was the enforcer of all enforcers in the NHL.
Man, I'm telling you, you want to hear a Rob Ray story? Or should we get back to the other thing?
No, you can go ahead, man. This is totally unscripted. There's no
okay, cool.
For
this. Of course it's totally unscripted, man. We're all over the map, which is great for hockey because that's how strong of a sport it is. So let me tell you guys something about Rob Ray. This is why it's so important for me to have Rob Ray as a special guest. First of all, I'm a huge hockey fan. I'm not just a player. I'm a fan. I'm a super fan. Let's put it that way, okay? I don't like some people like it's funny because like I would hear teammates refer to certain fans in a negative way as super fans. Oh, what, that super fan? And then I remember like hearing them say it and like I'm thinking in my mind, so you're talking negative about a person that is in your own words, is a super supporter of our team. I don't get it. But then I was the guy that would always spend all the time. I loved it when people wanted a picture. I loved it when people wanted an autograph. That was endorphinites for me, man.
Right.
I liked that, right?
Right.
Other guys would avoid it. Other guys would go out the other doors. Other guys would, I just could never figure that out. I guess it's just personalities, right? Let's get back to Rob Ray. I know I'm going off topic here. So growing up in Toronto, Rob Ray was an idol of mine because he was such an elite, tough guy for the Buffalo Sabres, which is a divisional team of my hometown, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
So Rob Ray, I always looked at him as almost like a superhero, because that's how I kind of looked at the players, even players as low as like the OHL level. Like I had an opportunity to go to a school that had an OHL team, the St. Michael's Majors. It was the team that was the Toronto team, but it was a private school in Toronto. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but I went to the school the first year that the team was there, and I looked up to these players like they were literally gods, man. Like that's how big of a fan I was, and they're only 2 years older than me. Like I was in grade 10, they were in grade 12, right? And so with Rob Ray, it was like superstar type status. And the Buffalo Sabres again have mostly been a small market team. And the way that they're successful is they really build their farm system in Rochester, and they really develop a lot of good players through their system because they have to, because they can't just go out and just sign any big. Well, with that new owner, they've done it a couple times, but historically they were never able to do that, right? So if you're a draft pick of the Buffalo Sabres, it's very common that you're going to be called in the summer. They're going to have you stay at the Triad Apartments, which is across from the Marriott Hotel, just off the Miller Sport Highway exit.
Oh my God!
And the reason why they have you in the reason why they have you in those apartments is they're trying to teach you the pro lifestyle, because that's how you're going to be living when you're playing in the AHL. So they want you to buy your own groceries. They're teaching us diets. That's where I learned, like just little things. Like, for example, you probably know this, brother, the energy that we get. Like, let's say we have a game on Friday. Mm-hmm. What you eat on Thursday is even more important than what you eat on Friday for your energy. I know you know that. I know you know that for sure. For Mr. SEAL team, right? You guys know that. So like just little things like that. What's that?
I said, you got to fuel your body if you want it to perform. It's just like a fireplace. If you don't put the wood in it, it's not going to burn. That's
right. So like just little things like, so we were staying there, and then so at the Marriott Hotel, they have a really cool bar that's in that hotel. And obviously we're draft picks, right? So we're 18, 19. I don't even know how we got in, but I guess we just said we're with the Sabres and they let us in, type of thing. Because no, the Sabres are so big in that city, man. Like it's crazy, right? So we're going to the bar, and we noticed that in one of the conference rooms, there's like a ceremony that's happening, right? And we noticed that there's a couple people from the Sabres that are there. So we're like, hey, what's going on here? We kind of, it's a group of 4 or 5 of us. So we kind of go over to see what's going on. And we realize that it's an award ceremony for Rob Ray. And what they're doing is they're recognizing Rob Ray for all his community work and everything that he's done for the city. So we peek in, and then they're just kind of like, oh, Razor's getting some awards. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's go to the bar. And so for me, I was like, I'm going to meet you guys in there. I just want to watch this because for me, this is the bar. This is the excitement, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm watching this ceremony, and I'm watching the people looking at Razor, and I'm watching all these kids that have there is foundations for all these different diseases, and then there was the kid that was the spokesperson, and I could see the way that they were dealing with Razor and how big of a impact Rob Ray had on these people. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this is the way that I want to be.
Right.
I want to help people. I want to make a difference. I want to have an influence for the better good. If I'm going to be playing a sport that is so admired that you're put on a pedestal because you're playing for a certain team, then I want to be like this. I don't just want to be a regular player. I want to be like this guy, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what I did. When I got to Rochester, I did every public appearance. I did every promotional event. I did every charitable event. And at first, I was doing it because of my vision of that Rob Ray ceremony. And then I realized that it's just something that I really like doing. I really like talking to people. I really like telling stories. I really like influencing people for the better good. And if they're going to listen to me because I play on a hockey team, then I'm going to embrace that and try to make a positive thing out of it. And when people think of volunteer work, they usually think of that it's bad, that it's a punishment or something. Volunteer work is like the secret word for success. When you volunteer, what do? You learn, you gain experience, and you meet incredible people.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, and it ultimately leads to what? You got Man of the Year awards 3 times. I mean, how many people say they're Man of the Year? That's especially for a hockey organization.
You have a special guest appearance.
Oh, man. Yes. What a nice pup that is, eh?
That belongs to our producer.
Yeah. But now, see, that's the same breed that the police use, right?
Yep.
Yeah, German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. But that type of German Shepherd, though, isn't there like a certain type of German Shepherd that the cops use? Like it's like the bigger, stronger ones?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, man.
German Malinois mixes.
That's the real deal right there. but yeah, I mean, guys, so like I pretty much modeled my career after Rob Ray because I looked up to the man so much. He kind of paved the way for me to show that, you know what? If you do something and invest a little bit of time, there's so much that you're going to get out of it. As a result, I learned how to do public speaking. I learned how to be comfortable in front of a camera. I learned how important, like, just being nice to people can really go. Like, there's so much to it. Like, guy, I like for yourself, brother, you coming up the ranks, for anybody that's your age playing hockey, when they start into junior and break into pro, guys, sign up for everything. They put the things on the wall. They want to see 1 or 2 names. Everyone looks at it and says, I just want to go to lunch and then go home and play Xbox. Oh, do you? Or do you want to go to a charitable event network with incredible people, meet people that you're going to know for the rest of your life, and actually make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what it's going to be. Don't look at it like it's a punishment. Just do it. Get the experience. You're going to learn so much. Just do it. That's my advice for any young hockey player that's out there. Do all the charitable and public events, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm definitely one of the kids. I love playing PS4. I mean, Rocket League is so much fun, but going out to talk people, there's nothing like it. Like meeting good people who are actually interested in talking to you is amazing.
Hence why you started this podcast, and it's working pretty well for you.
Yeah, man, it's working very, very well. It's very easy for me being a guest on your guys' show because when I first came on, you make the guest very, very comfortable, and it's really about being comfortable. When I'm not comfortable, that's when you start hearing the But I think I've been very good this episode.
Man, you've been doing awesome. It's
yeah, it's because I feel comfortable with you guys. So thank you very much.
And we had Tim Turk on last week, and that was one of the first things he said. He goes, of all the radio interviews, television interviews, and everything I do, he goes, they always give you a list of questions, topics they're going to do. He's like, I love this unscriptedness. Like this open, candid conversation is what makes it enjoyable to listen to and watch. And that's kind of what we've been sticking with and doing.
100%. So I got a question for you guys. So now, how long did you guys all know each other before you started the show?
Who is that?
Everybody that's involved with Splittin Twigs.
Okay, so
did you guys all know each other before?
This is my stepdad, William. Him and my mom.
No, I know you guys. I know you guys know each other, but I'm talking about everyone that helps out, like putting the team together.
You got this? Or you want me to talk about it?
Go ahead. So I'll let Austin talk for a few minutes on how we know each other.
So I'm the voice. It was just keep the dogs out. So I'm the voice behind the screen. Usually, there's a couple
voice behind the screen.
Come on over in the screen real quick. I'm gonna.
It's not easy to move around here. You know this. You already know this.
Look, I got a floating Sabres hat right there.
Yeah.
Is that a Sabres hat?
It is, of course, man.
How did you know? I feel really special. I got all of you on right now. Holy.
So I'm the voice behind the screen. Sometimes I'm up here. It just depends on what we're doing. But no, we've known each other for almost a year now. So we work together. So we're both cops over at the Air Force Base. I was Army, then joined the Air Force as a civilian. Came over. They decided to. I started out as the art guy, which is where the logo came from because Mallory, our other producer, she drew up the idea of it, and I was just like, we can make that better. So we ended up making it better, and what it is today made it more 3D, and then we got into, well, how are we going to do this podcast? Because we don't know what we're doing. I was like, oh, it's just weird that I have this streaming equipment already because I used to stream video games. And I was like, we can set it up. And then we started setting it up. And then now we have a studio that we built. So now we're here. In like a matter of a month, we went from like, we have no clue what we're going to do.
We had an idea, and then the idea turned into, holy crap, this thing's working. And now it's like, well.
And now we have a giant green screen room.
And we're having fun with it.
I'll tell you guys something though, man. The setup, the character, the enthusiasm, you guys are going right to the top, man. I'm telling you, you guys are awesome.
Well, watching you got this thing down too, man. The Sheriff Podcast. If you haven't checked it out, you guys got to check out the Sheriff Podcast. And to have Rob Ray coming on, dude, that's like, I will be watching that live, whether I'm at work or not. My boss gonna be pissed, but.
Who's your boss? You?
I guess I am the boss. But
yeah,
anyways.
Exactly. You mean the Death Sergeant's going to be pissed when you're ignoring him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going to be pissed that you're
ignoring
him.
Man, yeah. I mean, you're doing big things too. I mean, we haven't quite figured out how to crack the iTunes thing, but looking at where you're at on the charts and stuff, man, you are right at the top as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I appreciate you guys saying that for sure. We did actually recently found out that we are rated now in 4 different countries. So we cracked the Canada top 100. We got the Great Britain charts. We finally entered the wonderful US of A charts. But then recently we cracked the top 50 in Sweden. We're number 37 in Sweden. So Sweden's a huge hockey country.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm not surprised that people listen to hockey podcasts there.
Dahlin's a Swedish kid, isn't he?
Wait a minute.
Sorry?
Dahlin, he's a Swedish kid, isn't he? That prospect out of Buffalo, that top kid.
Oh yeah.
Big defenseman.
Oh, Oliver Ekman Larsson is Sweden, or he's from Sweden, which is the
Swedish.
Interesting.
Yeah,
No,
Sweden.
Sweden
He's a
produces
Swedish
a ton of
Which is
hockey players.
captain of the Arizona Coyotes.
Interesting. Very interesting. What are you doing to my seat, producer number 2?
Hey, I got another question for you guys. So you guys are in Arizona. Okay, so is Austin Matthews, is he the man or what, man?
Yeah.
He's a traitor.
Why though? Why?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But where does that come from? Because he doesn't play for the Coyotes? Like, is that what you're saying? Like, is that what you mean?
Yes and no,
He's
but
from there, but doesn't play for you guys?
he grew up with the Coyotes, so it kind of sucks that he didn't get to play for the Coyotes, but it's just the way the NHL goes, you know?
Yes,
The
of course.
NHL is more geared towards like who the organization picks, not who the player wants to play for, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, the good old draft, man.
Oh,
He's like he's from where you guys are from. He's doing some really, really, really big things this year, man. I think this is the year that Austin Matthews is the first overall pick. Austin Matthews that the Toronto Maple Leaf fans have been waiting for. Like, he's always been good, but now he's the man, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
and Chase kind of has a little bit of a story kind of tied to Austin Matthews. You wouldn't really think about it, but we recently got in touch with a coach down here who does a lot of edge work and a lot of skating drills. His name's Boris. I always butcher his last name. I think it's Dorsenko or Dorsokov.
No, it's Dosenko, Boris Dosenko.
But he grew up and he came over from the Ukraine and lived with Austin Matthews for a few years with him and his parents when he was like 8-10 years old. And he was Austin's personal skating coach.
Really?
And now he is one of Chase's private coaches that he skates with weekly.
nice.
So it's kind of a little connection.
Cut your hair.
Hey Chase, what's your size? What's your size?
What do you mean?
Like height and weight?
Oh, I am I'm 6 feet tall off skates and I'm 140 pounds.
You're 6 feet already?
Yeah.
He's not. There's
Yes,
no
I
way.
am. You're hot. I am definitely
hot?
sick.
Did you just tell him he's hot?
How you doing? What up?
I am definitely 6 feet tall.
Oh, man.
This is a cricket moment for you.
Do you want to get a tape measure?
So
Do I want to get a tape measure? I have one. Would you like
Go
to
get it. Go get it. Go get it.
Questionable.
I promise
Well,
you.
welcome to
So
our show,
6
by the way. This
feet,
is where we do weird things at the end.
140
Yeah, so I didn't know that you were such a Buffalo Sabre guy.
He's
That's
not.
awesome.
He hates the Sabres.
No,
because
I'm talking about you.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
talking about you, man.
So I worked security there for a couple years at the HSBC Arena. In fact, in the layout, my favorite was always there's a couple times between periods I got to sit, work the little area between the two locker rooms where it comes off.
Yeah.
And then my favorite after was my supervisor was actually my school teacher for high school. And he hooked me up to where a couple times there's the back area where you walked around the lower bowl, and then there's those two curtained off areas where you guys' family would come and wait for you guys to get changed and come out there. And I got to work there a couple times, and the highlight of it all was I had no idea who he was because he was in regular, just wearing his business suit. And here comes this really tall dude walking by, and I look at him, I wave, I was like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" My supervisor comes in, nudges me on the shoulder. He goes, "You know who that was?" I'm like, "Some hockey player." He's like, "That's Mario Lemieux." I'm like, "What the hell?" I'm like, "What the hell?"
That was my guess.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? I don't mean to try to one up you, but I got to tell my Mario Lemieux story too, man.
All right, let's hear it.
A star. It's very similar to what you just said. Okay. So
Right.
I'm playing in Rochester, New York. Now, the cool thing about the AHL team being so close to the NHL team, we're only an hour from our NHL city, is that we can go to games whenever we don't have a game, and it's always free, right? So we would just drive an hour, 3, 4, 5 of us, like we'll make a night of it, and we'll go to the Sabres game, right? And so we go to Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and I don't know, some weird thing that Mario would never play against Buffalo. Like, I don't. Did you ever hear that?
I've never heard that.
He
like I
was
said,
he was scratched a lot for when he would play in Buffalo, like not against Buffalo, but I don't
Right.
know if it was because maybe because Buffalo is so close to where he's from, like Montreal. I think he's from Montreal, so that's not a very far distance. So I think that maybe he like saw family or something when he would do that road trip, and then so they would kind of give him a night off, or I don't know, but. The man was scratched a lot playing in Buffalo, and he was scratched for that game as well. And so we were in that area that you were just describing. Yep. Where the players come out and the families are there. And so we're there and we're talking to guys and whatever. And, we see Mario over there. Mario's so big, guys. Like
he is huge.
He's 6'6", right? If I were to put my hand up against Mario's hand, it'd be like that. Like they've got huge hands, just a big guy, right? You don't think he's going to be that big because he's so skilled, right? So there was a guy on my team. His name's Jason Pominville. Went on to had a great NHL career with Buffalo, Minnesota, And so Pominville's from Montreal as well, and he was one of my better friends on Rochester. So he's like, hey, you guys want to meet Mario? And we're like, shut up, man. You don't know Mario like that. How are you gonna meet him? What are you gonna say? He's like, no, what do you mean, man? He's like, I know Mario. He's like, his hometown's like half an hour from mine. He's like, I've met him plenty of times. We're like, yeah, right, Palmer. You're full of it. He's like, fine, watch this. Walks right over to Lemieux, says, Mario, taps him on the back, says, Mario, do you mind meeting my teammates from my AHL team? He's like, yeah. Mario walks over. Nice to meet you. And I'm like, nice to meet you, Mr. Lemieux. I was starstruck, man. Super Mario Lemieux, the most skilled guy. Like I'm a Gretzky guy, but as I got older, I appreciated Mario because I realized how big he was. Because I looked how big I was getting. Like I ended up getting to 6'4". Mario was 6'6", just a huge man that was playing like he was Connor Bedard size, 5'9", just putting pucks through the legs and the feet. And man, like he's probably the most skilled guy to ever play the game. I've never seen anyone stick handle like Mario Lemieux. The guy made the game look like it was so easy, like it was crazy. And meeting him was one of the biggest thrills. Of meeting any hockey player. I think I was most thrilled meeting him.
And here's young, dumb high school me working security at the arena, not even knowing who the hell he is when he walks by. Like, oh, hey. And yeah, that's Mario Lemieux. Damn it. I wish I would have known that.
That's great, man.
But hey, we're I think over an hour and a half now, and I know we are kind of limited on our recording space. So I think we're going to have to cut it short here soon.
So that means that we are going to have to do a part 2.
We will definitely do.
Is that what it means?
How about we do a part 2 on the Sheriff podcast, and
you
host
just
us.
About to say that.
Hey, man, I think that is an absolutely fantastic idea. Okay, so I think I should. So there's a couple things that have happened here, guys. I mean, we made an exclusive announcement of Buffalo Sabre NHL legend Rob Ray, being a guest on my show, and we're also announcing that the Splittin Twigs crew, are you guys accepting the invitation to come on the Sheriff podcast?
Of course. God, yes. How could you not?
Oh, yes, that's it.
All right, we'll make a deal, though. I got an old school Hasek jersey, just like the one over your head. You'll have to throw yours on, and I'll throw my old school Hasek jersey on. It's got
man. I'll put it on. That's my draft jersey. That's my draft jersey. That somehow I've kept it clean, man. That's from 2000, so that's 21 years old.
That's awesome.
I was in the 2000th draft. Very, very late pick.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and so we have. I know you talked about you wanted to aspire to be a broadcaster here soon. In fact, I don't have a date hammered out yet, but we're in the works with Jean-Luc Grandpierre coming on too. So,
oh wow,
I don't know when he's coming on. He's busy broadcasting with the Blue Jackets right now, but he said he would come on in Jerry Rollins too. So I think Jerry's going to come on a little bit too. He said so.
Yeah, Jean-Luc Grandpierre, he's an inspiration, man. That guy's a really, really cool guy and was a really, really good player too, man. I got to play against him when Columbus would send him down for conditioning stints in Syracuse. When Syracuse, I don't know if they're still affiliated or not, but Rochester and Syracuse seem to play each other every other day. But yeah, man, he came down. He was like the big NHL guy that came down, and yeah, it was awesome. He's a great guy. It's cool that you guys have him on, man. That's a really big name.
Definitely. All right, buddy. Well, it's been great having you on. Some awesome conversation, and we're more than thankful to get to know you and kind of educate people on your story and where you came from.
Awesome, man. We're gonna do this again soon, and I can't wait till you guys come on the Sheriff Podcast.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun.
Amazing. I'm so excited.
Absolutely.
All right,
You will be our youngest guest ever, my friend. And to have your father with you, buddy, it's gonna be really, really cool, man.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited.
We may bring Austin in on that one. We'll have to have him in. We'll have a little 3.
Austin, yeah, let's bring him. I want, you know what? I'm not even gonna say names. I want as many people as you guys could fit in the screen.
We should bring my mom in too.
Mom is coming too.
My mom is the second producer we're talking about.
Yeah.
The second what? Sorry?
My mom's the second producer.
Second producer. Yeah. Awesome. Way to go, Mom.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Awesome,
it's been
guys.
great talking to you.
I had a lot of fun, guys.
Awesome. We'll throw you down the green room quick, say goodbye, and then if you want to hang out, we can talk after for a few minutes.
Sounds good, my friends.
All right, man. Peace out.
Take
Thanks
care,
a lot.
guys.
Wow. That was awesome, man. What a story. I mean, a fellow Buffalo Sabre alumni coming on the show. That was pretty good for me.
I think it would be cooler if he played for a real team.
Oh man, I hope on his episode he slams you down for that, because I know he can hear you right now. Oh man. Well, it's been real, everybody. Like I said, we got some big shows coming up, and check out episode 16 of the Sheriff's Podcast. That's going to be incredible. I can't wait for that one, man.
Rob Ray, man.
Rob Ray.
So cool.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of the Splittin Twigs crew, Chase, Austin, Mrs. Mallory.
Why did she get a Mrs. and I just got an Austin?
All right, sorry.
Mrs.
Austin
Austin
and Mrs.
Eakin.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Mallory.
I appreciate the Mrs.
Mrs.
How
Austin.
could you dare not give me a Mrs.?
You are the
Mrs.
Mrs.
Austin, Mrs. Mallory.
We love all your faces.
All right,
Toodaloo.
guys. Have a good week.